Hey everybody, welcome to the Ronline Report. Today's guest comes to us literally from all the way around the world, 16 hours ahead of my time zone, my goodness. This is Damien Taylor. He is a WNBF pro. He's the reigning Masters men's physique champion of the world. And I'm happy to have him on the show. How are you today, Damien?
I'm very well, Ron, and thank you very much for having me on your program. It's an absolute honor. I'm a huge fan of what you do and the guests that you have on, so I'm very humbled for having me on. Thank you so much.
First question I want to know is who's older? Because I think we're very, very close in age. So you're going to be 50 next year. When do you turn 50? I
turn 50 in September next year on the 25th.
25th? Okay, so I'm 4 days older than you.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Well, you're looking magnificent.
Yeah, it's, I should be looking younger and younger. I'm going to start poking my face with needles pretty soon. We'll see what happens. Yeah, we've been talking on Instagram for a little while, and I don't really have a lot of non-IFBB, non-NPC athletes on the show. So, I heard from you, and I looked over your resume and stuff, and it's very impressive. And I thought it'd be a cool thing to have you on. So before we get into your background, you haven't really been competing for a long time, am I right?
That's correct. I've only been competing for 3 years, even though I've been in the gyms for over 30 years training. I played lots of different sports. Our Australian rules football over here for many years, but for competition wise, only the last 3 years. So I competed locally, and then I investigated the WNBF over there in the USA, and I've competed in Seattle and in LA at the Worlds in 2016 and 2017, and in Boston actually, which was it was cold, but it was it was a great experience. But the WNBF particularly great competition for natural athletes, and very stringent, which I like as well, So yeah, competition-wise, not too long.
When was Boston where you won your world title?
That's correct. Oh, wow. Yeah, Boston, November 2017, and we get cold weather here in Melbourne during winter, but damn, you get some cold weather there.
Oh, that was only November.
in Boston.
You should be here in January, February. Woo. Yeah.
Yeah, it was just starting to hit. There was some pretty nasty rain at some stages. It almost felt like sleet. It was very cold.
Yeah,
a terrific place.
Should have been here in February. This year, February was they've been keeping track of the weather for like 220 years, and this was the coldest February they've ever had. So you missed out on that. So let me
hope your gyms are heated for you.
Yeah, I mean that's you grow up and you're used to it. But so take me back to you've been an athlete your whole life. What was the very first sport that you played and that you were good at?
Our Australian rules football here is huge. I suppose it's like the NFL over there. You get brought up with the ball in hand before you're even walking. So I was playing competitive football by under 10s and right through till I was 35 years old. I played the football at a reasonably high level, and then I coached after that as well, and was a fitness director, and so I was involved in football for, I'd say, just over 20 years at senior levels, but 30 years, I suppose, when you start from a junior. So that was a real focus for me. But being a shorter guy, you play against some really big boys. So that was part of the reason I got in the gym from early age, to try and put on some muscle and be able to cope with the sort of people you're playing against, because we don't have the pads and all that sort of stuff in the NFL, so you get pushed around a fair bit.
Oh, so see, I was all mixed up. I thought Australian rules football was soccer, but it's not. It's more like American football.
No. Huh. You can kick the ball, you mark the ball. I'm not sure if it's got 4 posts at either end, so you have to kick through goals, and you tackle. It's a very interesting game. Quite hard to explain to new people, but no, it's our hybrid game over native to our country. Basically, it's not played anywhere else in the world, really. But it's a huge sport over here. It's our religion, basically.
Wow. So, is that like it's a professional sport over there? Did you come close to playing
Yes.
professionally, or you did play professionally?
No, I didn't play professionally. I played at the highest amateur level that we've got here.
Yeah.
But it's a very professional sport. So our best players are, well over $1 million a year paid. So yeah, it's full on. They're back at training now. The season doesn't start till March, but they just started pre-season training last week. So it's a business basically. Yeah, it's a sport, but it's a huge business over here as well.
Wow. Now, I think the seasons are like different over there. So our winter like in the USA is like your summer, correct?
That's correct. So we're just coming into summer now.
Wow.
I'm trying to convert the temperatures. It's just starting to warm up really today. We're going to hit in the mid-90s today.
Wow, that's Fahrenheit.
That's Fahrenheit. So yeah, it's going to be 34, 35 degrees Celsius. So I'm trying to convert that to, so I'd say that's mid-90s for you over there.
Yeah, that's pretty hot.
Yeah, we get in the hundreds, and then in winter we'll get down to the 14 Fahrenheit for you, the 14, 15s or 0 degrees here as we call it. So we get big fluctuation changes in the weather.
So you're in the Melbourne area, Damien?
Yes, Melbourne. Yep, Melbourne, Victoria. Okay. Right down the bottom.
So have you been to that, the Arnold Classic and the Expo a few times by now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually got to have a chat to Sean Roden, and he signed a picture for me at 2016 Arnold's, which was a big thrill. And he was on a booth that I was on at the same time, but he was looking a bit tired at that stage. But he was lovely fella. It was great to meet him, and terrific. His success this year was just incredible. Fantastic to see. He came in so well.
Yeah. Do you follow all the IFBB bodybuilding as well?
Oh, very much so. Yeah, very passionate about it. I watch your program all the time. But yeah, no, I follow all the guys. So more than happy to digress into some of those.
Okay.
Some of the stuff that happened this year, which was actually very exciting. It opens a lot of doors, I think, for next year to see what can happen, especially if Kai comes back in as well.
Ooh, boy,
it will be interesting.
That would be the Olympia of the century, I think, if Kai came back.
I think everyone's rooting for it, aren't they? So it'll fingers crossed that he does. He's certainly in the condition to give it a tilt, I think.
He has not missed a step. I'm going to ask you to shift the laptop because I was only seeing like a little portion of your face. A little bit more. Okay, now I can see the top of your head. There you go. Stay there. Nope.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. All good?
Right now I can't see the top of your face. Okay, that's good. Okay. Yeah, it's hard. Okay. Move just a little bit this way. Other way. There you go. Try to stay there. Actually.
Okay.
Okay, now because I can see your whole face. People complain if they can't see your whole face, which is understandable.
No.
So, David,
I know that happens sometimes with your interview with Ronnie. Yeah.
Yeah, you can only see Ronnie's up his nose and like I think one of his eyes. You can count his nose hairs. It was actually pretty interesting. So when you began weight training for Australian rules football, and
yes.
What kind of progress did you make? Because you were trying to get bigger and bulkier, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And look, I suppose inspirations back then as well were watching Sylvester Stallone and Arnold Schwarzenegger. So that you wanted to emulate those guys. Can't get as big as Arnold, obviously, but progress. It's interesting, isn't it? Because the first few years you see quite good gains reasonably quickly. So you get really enthusiastic, going, "Wow, this gym stuff's it's paying good dividends as well." You excuse me, a lot stronger, and physically you look a lot different. And then 5, 6, 7 years down the line, that progression starts to slow, and that's where you've got to look into things a lot more and understand the progression is going to slow. and it's really a patience game for life.
Yeah, and I give you a lot of credit because that's the point where the gains pretty much come to a stop, where a lot of people start thinking about steroids, and a lot of people, that's when they start using steroids, because here I haven't made any progress in a year, 2 years, 5 years. I'm going to take these drugs, and then they do start making progress again. So, were you tempted? Were there people around you that were suggesting it or that were using it? What was the whole process of being exposed to it and deciding not to use them?
Yeah, it's certainly in every gym that you go around. It's prevalent there. Part of our competition for football is being a natural athlete, so I didn't want to jeopardize. Well, whilst is everyone tested there? No, there were probably people that were taking them. There's no doubt, but for me, it's health-wise and not worth taking the risk. For me, was the biggest points. And I suppose one thing that's not been a motivation is to see how big I can possibly get. I needed to keep my speed and agility, and I'm not a big guy. I'm still only at I put in pounds. I'm still at 154 pounds, 72 kilos, but if I ran around at 90, I think at 90 kilos or 180 pounds, I'd be slow as anything. So it just wouldn't have fit my profile, So I think I see a lot more use with it with the young guys these days than it was back in our day. I don't know if you noticed that.
Oh yeah.
It probably wasn't as big back in the 80s,
right.
And even in the 90s, but maybe with the advent of social media coming in, I think it's actually rife through the gyms these days down here. I don't know what it's like in the States.
Absolutely. I think it's the same all over the world. I think it's because my theory is social media, especially the internet, and then more so social media, brought drugs into the public consciousness. So everyone's aware of them, and I think a lot of these young guys starting out, when I started out, I didn't know about steroids, so I just trained and ate and got bigger and stronger, and I didn't worry. That it wasn't going to happen because I wasn't using drugs, because I didn't know there were drugs that you could use. And now I think these kids have it in their heads that it's pointless to even try to get any bigger or stronger without drugs. I better just get on drugs from day one, and I think that's what happens a lot of times now. So.
No, I tend to agree with you. It's pretty crazy, isn't it? The advent of the internet and Instagram and social media has been terrific in many fronts, and the opportunity to talk to each other now from different sides of the world is pretty crazy. But it's also brought out some habits and brought out things that we didn't have to go through or even know about back in the 80s, and people, I think, compete with each other on Instagram to see how heavy they can lift or how big they can get, just to show a picture,
They love the deadlifts, the max single deadlifts. That's what I see.
It is. Yeah, wow. I've been watching some of that Larry Wheels. I don't know if you've been watching Larry.
Yeah,
he's lifting some crazy weight, but what's going through the back of my mind is all the things that Ronnie Coleman's going through at the moment, and I hate for him to experience some terrible injuries lifting so many heavy things around. But the deadlifts seem to be very popular these days, don't they?
Well, I think it's the one lift. It seems to be the lift that a lot more people can put up more impressive weights with for whatever reason. There's not a lot of people that can bench press a lot of weight. There's really not that many people can do a squat with a lot of weight, but I think pretty much anybody who really works at it can get a pretty decent deadlift for whatever reason. Maybe, I don't know why. Mechanics. So you've been training your whole life, but most of it was for performance, to be a better athlete.
That's right.
At what point did it become an aesthetic or a cosmetic thing where you decided, I want to see how good I can make my physique look?
Yeah, it's a good question. I started doing some photo shoots back in when I was in my mid-30s for for people for their websites and a few magazines, things like that. But after my football had finished, I've still got the hunger to do and achieve things in sport. And a couple of my friends at the gym had been in competition for quite some time, and they suggested that, you know, you've got all the DNA and you've got all the background behind you and the disciplines. It'd probably be a great opportunity, a good sport for me to get into, because whilst you can challenge yourself in the gym, you can be pretty smart as you get older with the way you lift, instead of you throw your ego out the door, as they say, and not trying to lift crazy amounts of weight, but use them as your tools. So you know, I had a good think about it. I thought, well, this sounds pretty good, and I wasn't far away from where I needed to be, from according to my friends. So I gave myself 12 months to prepare for competition, and fortunately, you know, the first time I stepped on stage, well, you feel a bit awkward, a bit confronting, getting out there with everyone to judge. You know, I happened to win, so
Wow.
that was you know, gave me the bug. Okay, I'm not up here embarrassing myself, and I've got a good opportunity. But I did a lot of study with it as well. That's one of the things that I like to do. Is if I'm going to do something, I like to learn and understand training better and diet principles, rather than relying on everyone else telling me what to do. And I've really dug into it in the last 3 years, and I'm achieving some great results at the moment, which is terrific.
So, Damien, I know you you coach other people for dieting and training and stuff. Do you do your own prep, or do you have someone else work with you on that?
I do my own prep. For the weights, I think, as we were discussing at our age here, I understand that the gains I'm going to get are more aesthetic. I'm not going to put on size, but if I can really focus on detail, which I do at the moment, and accentuate parts. So I noticed you said your legs are really good. Well, my legs needed work, because I did so much running. They were fairly lean, you know, so I needed to bring them out, and things like delts, and you know, trying to get some more width on the back. So I've been, in the last 2 years, if you look back on photos, which I enjoy doing, you can say, okay, I can work on my delts here to get more of a 3D aesthetic look, and a bit more width and detail in the back, and some more development around the scapular area, and then working on quad sweep. So I'm actually in a really exciting phase in my training to see some good development coming through, which is great. So it's not so much size gains, whilst they're very slow. The aesthetic changes are really exciting to see.
So you're a pro in you compete in both men's physique and bodybuilding, correct?
That's correct. I compete in the bodybuilding at the 2017 World Championships in the Masters,
Yeah.
and I made sixth in the world. So that was exciting. I won the Masters World Championship in the physique 2017, and was runner-up in 2016. So this year I took a year off, because I also competed in Seattle. I competed maybe 4 or 5 times in 2017, which is quite taxing on the system. I found the central nervous system, and also I've undertaken some more study this year with a master's in sports business and integrity. So that's taken up a fair bit of time, but I wanted to give myself a year to really focus, train, plus do my study, and then have a good tilt at things in 2019.
Are you going to continue competing in both, or now that you're a little more successful, you're the world champion as men's physique, are you going to focus more strictly on that?
I actually like the bodybuilding. The overall aesthetic of the human body fascinates me. So whilst physique is a pet event, and I will compete in that again, I really want to focus in on the bodybuilding, and challenge myself to get as high as I possibly can in the Masters, and by the time we've had our birthdays, I can go on the Grandmasters.
I'm waiting too.
Which,
So do you
But with,
do you stay fairly lean, Damien? Because I've noticed a lot of natural pros stay in really good condition year round. Because as I pointed out to people many times, dieting as a natural bodybuilder, because I competed naturally for many years before I went to the dark side, and you have to. It's hard to hold your muscle. It's very hard to
yeah,
hold on to your muscle. And probably the best advice I've given natural bodybuilders from my own experience is don't get too fat, because if you do, you're going to lose a lot of muscle in the process of
yeah,
getting lean. So
absolutely
do you
agree.
stay a lot leaner yourself?
Yeah, I wouldn't get past 10%. I wouldn't think year round.
Wow.
Absolutely agree with you, and great advice to everyone. It's as a natural bodybuilder, I think you need to keep around that 10-12%. You know, that eat to grow theory that you hear is not good as a natural athlete. Basically, you're just getting fat, and it gets very difficult to lose that, and you know, your insulin sensitivity is not good. Once you're putting on more weight, we could digress into all those sorts of things. But yeah, I stay lean year round, and as a natural athlete, I'm not sure how you thought about it, but it's good to actually be able to see where you're at in the gym all the time. You know,
Right.
you can see where your gains are coming from. You can see how your builds coming along, especially just before prep, coming into a competition. You know you're not too far off, and you're making tweaks rather than having to do any crazy stuff for your training. So yeah, couldn't agree more.
I mean, I told people all the time, I used to bulk up. I used to be 5'8.5" in my younger years. I've shrunk.
Yeah,
But I would bulk up.
you're very similar to me.
I think we all shrink. But I
That's
would
it.
bulk up over and over to 230 pounds and then diet down.
Wow.
I diet down to like 175, 180. And every time I bulk up, I'm like, oh boy, I got bigger. And I diet down. I'm like, I didn't get any bigger at all. I look exactly the same. That was all fat.
It's
Yeah.
it's maybe you enjoyed getting the 235, but it would have hurt coming down to 175.
It did. It sucked. So I've noticed you have a very I call them real jobs, quote real jobs that are more demanding.
Yes.
It seems like you're a project manager. This seems like an actual grown up, very demanding job. What is it that you do?
Yeah. So I work for an industrial company that I run projects globally that we do pumping systems for mines, petrochemical, industrial, agricultural, so big pumping solutions. So my job is to coordinate the projects, make sure they run and hit their targets around the world. So at the moment, I've got projects running in the UK, in China, things going across to the Middle East, to all over the world. The USA, you know, is where our head office is based. So yeah, it's a demanding and challenging job. And then I've got my study as well that I love, and my training, then my beautiful children. So
Yeah,
life's pretty busy.
you've literally been around the world. Have you been to like almost every continent, every country, every major country? Wow.
Yeah, I have. I enjoy my travel. I've done both for work and for recreation, but I enjoy going to different parts of the world to learn from people and see different things, which I think is really good. And then work out in different gyms around the world is always fun, really interesting. So yeah, I've been to Europe, the Middle East, been to Africa, America many times, Asia Pacific. China, worked there, so yeah, I've been lucky to do a fair bit of travel and meet some wonderful people and see some amazing things. You know,
I saw you.
Boston was incredible last year, and New York. You know, I hadn't been in New York before. Fantastic.
Oh wow! So you've been to a lot of the major gyms around the world. Which gyms have you been to that you were kind of bummed to leave, and you wish this was my gym. I wish this was the place I trained at every day. Which would you call? Which place would you put in that category?
Look, I think one of the standout is Gold's was amazing. I'm not sure if it's the equipment, more the atmosphere. It's you walk into so much history. It's really humbling for someone who's loved the bodybuilding for a lifetime. When you walk into places like that, it's incredible, you know. So that's one place that when I'm in the States that I make sure I get a workout there every year. So
Wow.
I found around the world, America seems to be one of the biggest enthusiasts of bodybuilding in the world. But I'm not sure if you've had the chance to go to Dubai at all. But
No.
yeah, if you want, yeah. If you want big and bold and everything amazing, then Dubai is pretty incredible for what they serve up in their gymnasiums over there. But
have you been to Kuwait?
For pure historic. What's that?
Have you been to Oxygen Gym in Kuwait?
Oh no, I haven't been to Kuwait, but yeah, Dubai. Went to a few gyms there. I'm just trying to think in Europe. The gyms are reasonably similar around the world, but so it comes down to more the historical factors for me, and Gold's really stood out for just being wow factor. You know, it was incredible. Well, I had the opportunity to go to Spain this year for study, which incredible in Madrid, and they had the best, I suppose, gym sporting organisation called GoFit. That was just incredible. In two gymnasiums in Madrid, or sports centres, they got 27,000 members.
Wow,
so
it's a big gym.
Yeah, pretty crazy. But to answer your question, Gold's would be right up there on the list. I was lucky enough to see Dexter Jackson there as well and get a photo with him. And I've even noticed he's not having his 6 weeks off anymore either, as he's getting closer to 50.
I suspect next year will be his last year. If I was a gambling man, I'd say.
Yeah, I would think so as well. Yeah, well, he's been incredible, hasn't he? That was his 21st, I think, Olympia in a row. So
I mean, yeah, he's got the all-time record for wins as a pro.
Yeah.
He's in the 49-year-old club with us now. I think
he is.
I think he just had his
good luck
birthday
to him.
a couple weeks ago.
He's looking amazing too, Dexter at the moment. But yeah, it's probably a good time for him to go out next year. You know,
he's
and still on top of his game.
Exactly. So yeah, I always like to let people know that everyone's dealt with struggles. Everyone's had their challenges, and I saw you've had your challenges. You had to care. Your parents were ill before they passed away. You were taking care of your parents for a long time. Is that right?
My mum had a rare disease for over 35 years, which was called scleroderma, which is quite rare. So it's very challenging for the family. And then she passed away. She got liver cancer as well. So yeah, she had a very difficult time. Through all her adult life. If there's try to think back on where I got resilience from, and that lady was incredible. She was in bed for like 2 years when she first got the disease. So
wow.
I was only 10 years old when that happened. So we had to learn to grow up fast, with the with the family and responsibilities. But lessons learned. It taught you good life skills and how to run a household and how to look after yourself, and that transfers into life. So it was certainly very challenging, and she was a very strong woman. So yeah.
And a lot of people watching this can relate to what you went through 8 years ago. I think our divorce rate in the USA is supposed to be like 50%. I don't know how accurate that figure is, but so a lot of guys watching this, they know exactly what you went through, for more or less. So 8 years ago, you went through that, and you basically lost everything and had to start over, correct?
Yeah, that's look. It's difficult for both parties, and had young children involved. It's very challenging for both people. I understand that, but 8 years ago we went through a difficult time with divorce with young families. So you move from your house, and I had nothing where I started here. Basically, slept on a mattress on the floor with no furniture, and then I have my kids every Friday night through to Sunday night from then. So my boy was sleeping on the mattress next to me and had a cot for my daughter. And look, it was very, very difficult. And 8 years on, it's I've got still the same place, but fortunately I've got furniture, so it's looking good. But look, the kids are terrific. Their mum's got a terrific partner. We get along great. You know, you've got to work through your differences, especially when you've got children. You know, the kids are the most important thing, and they're supposed to have fun and a lot of love from their parents. So we've worked through that, and yeah, very, very challenging times, and you don't wish it on anyone. So people are going through it. You know, just try and have some patience and understand that, you know, things happen, but to prioritise their children and get through it. But that was probably the most challenging time of my life, to tell you the truth. Yeah, very difficult.
Yeah. I've come this close about 100 times, but I always weasel my way out of it. I'm a very good talker. I can talk my way out of a lot of situations.
Yeah.
So do your kids, do they know what you do? Are they big enough to understand the competitive side of this and, you know, follow you, I guess, online, because they can't go to these competitions, or do you bring them to the competitions all the way around?
No, they don't come to competitions. Yeah, my son Kyle is 12 years old, so he's getting at that stage where it's cool for the old man to be still pumping iron and winning competitions, because he follows me on Instagram, and his friends do as well, which is pretty cool. My daughter, I'm not quite sure she understands it. She likes to, you know, Dad, show me your muscles, but I don't think she quite understands the level that I'm at. But certainly my son does. But he loves his sport as well. Loves his football. He's quite good athletically. But that's why I'm trying to teach him the life balance with study, because he starts high school next year, and you know, study's important, sport's important. It's all life balance, I suppose, isn't it? You know, it's a priority.
So you're 49 years old, but I mean, I always, people tell me, you know, bodybuilding's so unhealthy. I say, well, not natural bodybuilding. That's actually pretty healthy. So, you know, you must know guys that you've grown up with that were into the drugs and everything and heavy training. Do you have friends that are bodybuilders like your age who are not doing as well physically as you are?
Yeah, look, I have, and the ones who went down that path, you know, unfortunately don't look good now, you know, and they're really struggling body-wise. They're struggling nutrition-wise, because I suppose when you're using substance, it masks a lot of things, particularly during your 30s. And you know what it's like when you hit your 40s. You're going, geez, I never noticed that before, or that's creaking a bit more than it used to. But being a natural athlete, you tend to adjust to your conditions more. And, you know, it's a famous question that you probably get sick of being asked at times, you know, how much do you bench? And I just say, you know, as much as exactly. I hardly get on the bench at all anymore, but I think that it comes down to the weights are a tool. It's not how much the numbers that you're pushing. It's how you're using them and how you're doing the sets. So yeah, people who are using substances, you know, it's not just their body; it's their heart health, overall health. So it's something to think about for people 40 plus. You know, you still want to be going down those lines, because there's a lot of bad things. Unfortunately, we see some of the good stuff on social media, but you've been around gyms long enough to see the other things that are happening for people that have been using that sort of gear into their 40s that hurt themselves pretty badly.
We have a show every week I do with Dr. Thomas O'Connor called Ask the Anabolic Doc, and a lot of his patients are former, you know, they're guys our age roughly who are former users, and he's trying to correct a lot of the damage they've done and help them, you know, get back on track and live longer and healthier than they otherwise probably would have. But absolutely, it's not, you know, I don't think steroids are a poison, but they're certainly not harmless. Certainly not. But I gotta ask you, what are your questions on like testosterone replacement therapy, TRT, HRT, whatever you want to call it? Because you're certainly in an age range where it would be acceptable. I don't know. What's the feeling in Australia? Are a lot of guys on it over there or no?
Yes. No, a lot. one thing that I prioritise in looking after health is getting blood work done every year as well to check, overall health, but check your level of testosterone levels. And in fact, that's why I decided to take a year off competing, because when, as a natural athlete, you're running that lean and you're trying to get, not trying, but you're around that 5% body fat. Yeah. Your testosterone,
goes in the cutter.
You know what it's like. So it's and when you're doing a few competitions, I think they're the background things people don't quite understand. Where your testosterone levels, a lot of your levels, your cortisol's up. So if things aren't going real well, you might look sliced and diced, as they say, but it's not that healthy to be running around at that percentage. So my levels are great now. I've taken that year to recover with testosterone where it needs to be in the safe, healthy range. So if you stay up around that 10%, look, maybe I'm lucky and genetics play a part. There's no doubt that if you look after your nutrition, I run every day as well as my working out. So I think it's a real balancing act of not competing too much, having a target. So that's where my target is, definitely the Worlds next year, to compete. Whether I did one May next year as well, but I think as a natural athlete, you've got to be very careful, particularly as you get older, not to be trying to get too lean too much. Around that 5% year round would be crazy. So I'll keep getting my blood work done if everything's going great. If they say your testosterone is too low, I'll adjust diet or competition to see what happens. And look, as you get older, if you need some medical assistance to get those levels where they should be, sure, it's something
what's the WNBF stance on that? Does the WNBF allow you to be on testosterone replacement under a doctor's care, or would that considered no?
No. So it's look, the great thing as a natural athlete for me, they're very, very strict. They're under the WADA code, but they do polygraph testing before competition. Urine testing for winners after. So if you're good enough to get through that, then more power to you. But I don't think there's too many people that are going to try and get through the polygraph test initially and then follow up with a urine test. And it's a 7-year ban in the WNBF if you get caught. So
wow.
I like that. If I'm going on stage, I love the INBF, the WBF, all the other competitions, and the rules are the rules there. So you can take what you want to take to win, and I get that, and that's cool. But if you're competing as a natural athlete, I like to know that it's fair game. Everyone's on the same level playing field, and then best person can win. So be it. So they're really strict at WNBF.
Because a lot of guys will talk shit about natural bodybuilding, saying those guys aren't natural anyway. It's a general negativity. But I mean, again, it goes back to they don't think that you can build any muscle, or you can't even get a six-pack naturally. They think you need clenbuterol, or they think everything takes drugs. But are you confident when you compete that the majority, if not everybody you're up on stage with, is also a drug-free competitor?
Particularly in the WNBF, yes, that's why I choose it. There's other competitions, natural competitions, that I don't see them being as strict. And you're right, particularly when you're talking to younger guys, they ask you, what do you do to stay so lean and look the way you do? Say, well, I run, I look after my diet, and they laugh at you. You go, well, you're crazy, you just take this or you take that.
Yeah, of course.
Wow.
Debbie, I give you so much credit because, a big part of the reason I went to the dark side, and I don't have a problem calling it that, is I always wondered what would I look like? What would it do for me? Certainly you have to wonder. I mean, even now at our age, you must still, sometimes you must think, what would I look like if I ran, DECA, test, anadrol, GH, all this crap. Do you ever wonder? Yeah.
look, I suppose you wonder, but also I've been this way for so long. A 225-pound version of me is not going to. It's going to feel weird to me as well. You know, carrying around all that extra weight. So I suppose I've got past that stage. But I was listening to or watching one of your latest podcasts or YouTubes on who you would have trained with. Would have been Jay or Ronnie or Dorian,
Right.
And you made comment that you're probably at your peak at around 30, 35, which I would agree with. You know, I was lifting my heaviest weights then, benching really well, and I would say that's the time where you start thinking, wow, you know, I wonder how big I could get. You know, I wonder how strong I get if I'm lifting this naturally.
Right.
You know, imagine if you're taking a bit of this, bit of that, I could be right. It'd be amazing. It'd feel pretty incredible. I would think your strength must have gone through the roof initially when.
I'm paying for it all now. My joints are all crap now. It's because of I did do that. I was already very strong naturally, and then I went on drugs, and I was squatting 725 pounds. I was all kinds of ridiculous weights. I used to do behind the neck presses with 315, and but I'm paying for it all now. Every joint on me hurts. It's I wake up like an old man, like hunched over. It's terrible. So in retrospect, I don't know. It's hard to say. Would I have changed anything? Would I have done it differently? I don't know. Who knows?
Oh well, hindsight's always a wonderful thing, as they say, and you can't change what's happened in the past, and there were decisions that we all make for whatever reasons. But I would say at the peak of your powers is it was a good age bracket. That 30 to 35, you're really got some years behind you in the gym, and your strength is really good. So it's either the youngsters want to do things really quick, or by that 30-year-old bracket, your gains are slowing down. You know you're real strong. You want to bust through another level. That's where the temptation would really come, I'd say.
Yeah, but that ship has sailed.
Yeah.
No worries.
I rarely get on the bench press these days, and I'd be 100 pounds less than what I was benching back in the day. It's more about eccentric controls and good contractions and doing good working sets rather than, hey, look, I can push this much. I see some scary stuff in the gym. People lifting heavy weights really bad.
Well, all you got to do is Google gym fails, and you can look up thousands and thousands of people getting hurt very badly if you really want to. So exactly. I want to give out all your information so people can get a hold of you. But first of all, your Instagram and everything else is S11 Strength. So
that's correct.
What did that come from? Where'd you get that name, S11?
Okay, so back here in the 1930s in Melbourne, there was a gangster called Squizzy Taylor, and my surname's Taylor, so I was nicknamed Squizzy from about 8 or 9 years old. So everyone calls me Squiz or Squizzy. Number 11 was the number I played for football for forever. I played over 200 games wearing number 11, so that's 11. And then big believer in strength through body and mind. So S for Squizzy, 11, my number has always been my number, and strength through mind and body. That's where it comes from.
So everybody, you can follow Damien on Instagram at S11 Strength. He has a website, s11strength.com. And what kind of services do you offer on your website, Damien, for people?
So I do diet, nutrition, I do training plans, but I also do mentoring, I do management, business management, a whole raft of services. So, and with my study with the Master of Sports Business and Integrity, I'm looking to do a lot more in the sports business field as well. So I suppose I've got a good range of skill sets that I can help people with. So, but training and gym, nutrition, health and well-being are big passions of mine, and I'm really trying to inspire the 40 plus bracket that to be looking after themselves. And in the corporate world that they've been in for so long, you see a lot of people not prioritizing health. It seems to come last by a long way, and you've probably got the obesity epidemic as big as we have down here.
It's much worse here. We're the
we're
world
the same
champions in obesity.
Yeah. So it's I'm really trying to inspire people that the 40 plus to be looking after themselves. So hopefully a lot of people can see this and say, wow, you can have the balance. You can still be fit. You don't have to be as obsessed as what I am and doing it. I challenge people to start really thinking about their health and well-being.
I mean, you have high school reunions over there, right?
Yes, we do.
So did you go to your 30th high school reunion like last year?
No? I didn't get there. I still catch up with some of my friends from school, but some aren't doing too well on there.
It's crazy. Some of them look fantastic, and some of them look like they could be your dad or your mom.
Yeah,
it's nuts.
Yeah, it is nuts, and people are just getting a little bit overweight. They're really stacking on the pounds. It's getting scary, and we're at that age where people are unfortunately having heart attacks and things like that in their early 50s. So it's something to really be thinking about for long term.
Cool. Well, Damien, thank you so much for being a guest. It was my pleasure speaking to you. Appreciate everybody. This guy woke up very early.
I'm up at 4.
It's actually the next day. I'm talking to him on a Wednesday here. It's already Thursday over there for him.
Thursday morning, yeah, that's it. Exactly. Thank you so much for having me. It's been an absolute honor and privilege. You're incredible at what you do, and thank you so much for all the content you share. It's
appreciate it, Damien.
Really terrific. Everything you do. It's been a great honor. Thank you.
So one last time, everybody, S11 Strength on Instagram and s11strength.com on the internet to find out more. If you want to get in touch with Damien, see what he can do for you, any of that good stuff. It's been my honor having him as a guest on the Ronline Report. Thanks, everybody, for watching, and we'll talk to you next time.